All right, so before break, we started creating a master material that allowed us to apply maps to the correct channels, but it's locked to these specific maps. It's locked to the football map, so I wasn't able to apply that same material to this fake plant asset because these are require different texture sets. So I want to expand on my master material here called simple maps and expose a parameter that's going to allow me to change what is the default, or change what map is being assigned to the material. So to do that, we want to expose some parameters. So if I have a node already placed down in my material editor, I can right click on it and I can say convert to parameter. This allows me to give it a name, and I want to name the parameter what it is. So I can call this base color. For your parameters, you are able to use spaces and things like that. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. You are able to. It's not going to affect things the same way that coding and creating functions. You shouldn't use spaces. But this type of parameter, that's going to be fine to do. You're not going to see me do that, though. I'm going to leave everything underscores or camel cased. OK, so with the parameter created, I can then place it in a group. And what this is going to do is when I create a material instance of it, it's going to place all those parameters together within a kind of a pull-down list. So we can see this kind of working right off the bat. If I come back to that material, that master material that I called simple maps, and right-click it, I can create a material instance from it. This is going to read all the instructions that have been compiled on that master material and only expose the options that I have said make a parameter. So for this one, I'm going to just call it what it is. So the material instance, we call the material what it is. Naming standards typically say that you should name it mi underscore and then what it is. Just be consistent with whatever your project is doing. So I'll do that here just because I'll be good. And then I'll call this mi, and this is going to be football. The other benefit of calling it mi underscore football is if I called my static mesh football, I'm not going to have a football and a football file name next to each other. So it's a good reason to give things suffixes and prefixes. So with that material instance, if I double click it, I can see I have a set of parameters on the right-hand side that have been exposed. And this means that when I toggle on my base color parameter, I can swap out what texture map is being loaded in there. Okay, and the group, if I don't give it a group, it's just going to give it kind of a default name, global texture parameter values. It's not very friendly. So by giving it a group name, by just selecting where it says none, erasing that, and I'll just call this maps. Hit save, come back over to my material instance, and I can see that now I have a group, a category here called maps. And we want to be sure that we are working in groups and we aren't just letting our parameters go wherever they like. We want to kind of place them in specific orders. So I want to expose these other ones as parameters as well. So I'll right click and say convert to parameter. And this one I'm going to just call ORM. I could say ORM map or base color map, but because it's in a map group, I'm going to kind of just take that for granted. So for this one, because I already have the group created, I can just pull down and I'll see that I have a maps group already there. If I didn't see that and I created another group, and maybe this one I called map, maybe I didn't call it with an S, then I'm going to see that, well, I have two groups now, one called map, one called maps. Just make sure you're being consistent and watching out for spelling mistakes. But better way of doing it is just making sure that you are using the pull down menu. If it detects that a group isn't kind of being used at all, it's going to get rid of that group. Okay, so that's ORM. So I'll do the last one with normal, convert this to a parameter, and I'll call this normal. and I'm going to put this in my maps group as well. Awesome. So now when I look at my material instance, I have my base color, I have my normal, and I have my ORM map, which I can then replace out with whatever textures I actually want to use. However, if we want to kind of change the order of these maps, which I do, I typically like to have my normal maps last, my ORM second. Yep.
Sorry, how did you make the material instance again?
To make the material instance, go to your master material and right click it. And then right at the top, there's a create material instance.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So if I want to change the order that these parameters show up in, I can change the sort priority between a value of 0 and 32. So I want my base color first, so I'm going to just put this to a sort priority of 0. I want to place my ORM second, so I'm going to put my sort priority as 1. And then I'll put my normal at 2. If I have the same sort priority across multiple parameters, at that point it's just going to go alphabetically. So if you need to kind of fit one in, you may have to kind of shuffle around all your numbers, or if it's alphabetical, it might just work out okay. But now when I hit save, it's in the order that I'm expecting it to be in. Cool. So now I have a master material where I could create material instances from. I can select my master material for simple maps again, right click, create a MI pot, plant pot. I can double click this, and currently by default, it has the football material kind of loaded in here because that's the texture that I used here. When we go to create our substance master material, we're going to kind of swap this out so I don't always have to replace a football texture. But that's what's showing on here. So now I would just toggle on each one of these parameters, which signifies that I want to make a change, I want to modify it. And then I want to choose my plant base color, ORM, and normal. So now this is the material that's created. And if I assign this pot to the pot part of the model, it's going to plug it into that kind of material slot that's associated with this model. Just know that assigning a material instance or a material to an actor in your scene doesn't assign it to the actual static mesh. That material only exists on this object. If I drag in another plant, well, nothing exists here, right? So when your material instance is set up and it's ready to be used, or even if it's not ready to be used, as long as it exists, we want to go back to our static mesh, double click on it, and assign the correct material slot here. Okay, so if I look at this model here, if I kind of just move my kind of light around, I can see that this pot kind of looks really, really shiny like this. But if I look to see what it looked like over here in Substance Painter, right, it wasn't that shiny. Like this one is a lot duller, more dull than kind of what I'm seeing here, this really high gloss. So this is a clear indicator, or this is a, maybe not clear indicator, but this is an indicator that my color profile is currently set incorrectly on my texture maps. If it looks darker and it looks a lot glossier and shinier than what you expect it to be, a lot more reflective, go back to your textures and just make sure that you have imported them in correctly. So for this pot ORM, I'd want to double click this and see, oh yeah, no, okay, sRGB is still enabled. This is a black and white map, right? All these are black and white maps, so it shouldn't have a gamma correction. So I'll toggle that off, hit save, and now that looks a lot closer to what it looked like in Substance Paint. Now, if you have imported in a whole bunch of assets, a whole bunch of textures all at once, and you want to just kind of check to see that all of your ORM maps have been set correctly, you've toggled them on or off, you can always use these search fields in the content browser. I can just type in ORM. This is going to find all my ORM maps. And then I can select them all and right-click, Asset Actions. We can say Edit Selection and Property Matrix. Okay, this one's going to come in handy, but you're going to forget about it, so make a note of it. Because you won't use it for another bunch of weeks, and then you'll be like, what was that thing? So Asset Actions, Edit Selection and Property Matrix. This is going to give me a list so that I can easily see, oh, where have I forgotten to toggle off sRGB on my ORM maps or my normal maps or wherever. So now I can just go through, toggle those two off, and hit save. Right. So this selection thing is super handy for making bulk edits all at once. And I could do the same thing with my normal maps. I could grab all these, Asset Actions, Edit Selection and Property Matrix. And for this, I could just twirl down my texture settings and check to see is Flip Green Channel selected. Or is Flip Green Channel, if I pin this, is this on or off for all my normal maps? I can kind of quickly see if I need to kind of make those changes as well. So you can hit this pin, and that's going to just add it to the stream up here. Okay, so our textures are all good. That's fine, and I have a master material here that is capable of swapping out the texture maps, but we want our master material to be a lot more versatile than that. So we're going to create a new master material that is going to allow me to adjust contrasts of roughness, intensity of normals, color values, and all that good stuff. So let's